Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Per Reviews as we go ahead and review Summerslam 2023. And it was a long show. Let's get that out of the way now. Man, I love the Roman Reigns storytelling, but man, they got to be able to learn how to do that storytelling in 20 minutes
Yeah.
because
Why?
because it's too fucking long. You don't
Hey,
need 45 minutes of Roman doing storytelling. I swear, I think he can do it in 20. But we'll get there.
yeah, we'll get there.
We will. We will.
What was everybody's thoughts of the show? Well, actually, we should tell people who we are. I'm Ol'Ed, and I'm joined by the one and only Chris Best. Next to him is the one and only in the car, Chris Parrish.
Hello.
And of course, next to him, we have one man dynamic, OMG.
How are we doing tonight, gentlemen?
I'm doing good. It's a little late here on the East Coast, 12:25 on the East Coast as we get started right now. So
Yes, I know the feeling. It's the same here in Ontario.
yeah, it's been a night. Parrish is sitting here. He's like, it's only 10:30. I'm fine. I've been drinking all night. Because of course,
No, I'm in my car. I've been behaving properly.
Yes, and our friend Leeds is here saying evening all.
And it's so
yes,
early in the morning for him.
Yes, it is.
I was able to help Pete out with the show because he was watching on a version of the broadcast that wasn't exactly up to date. So I was able to pull him in the room and be able to at least give him for part of the main event. At least
Nice.
the timely main event. So he was able to jump in here.
Nice.
But you know what? Let's just get started on the show here. Logan Paul versus Ricochet. We'll go ahead and start with Chris Best. What do you think of Logan Paul and Ricochet opening the show tonight?
So this match is exactly as I called it. I said a few weeks ago on the Raw Watch Along that this was going to be a very athletic match, and I was not disappointed. I'm maybe one spot. How's it going, Astrid? Maybe one spot I wish would have happened would be the big spot, because that's what they've done in their previous two meetings. Was that the big clothesline in the Royal Rumble, the ladder spot in the Money in the Bank. I kind of wish we got something out of that. But all in all, I found this match to be pretty entertaining.
Yeah. Parrish, what about you?
I thought the match was really good. I thought this match really did a great job of getting the crowd excited for what they were gonna see. Like the opening match really has a challenge for a show, especially a show like SummerSlam. I thought Logan Paul was awesome, like he was. Yeah, if you wanted pinpoint every little thing, yeah, you're gonna find some things. But at the end of the day, Logan Paul delivered again, like he always does. And Ricochet really was a great benefactor to that whole thing because he was on the other side. I thought he looked amazing, especially in a loss where he got cheated out of. The brass knuckles came into play. He didn't lose fairly. He has a reason to get mad. I thought this was great, and I thought that Logan Paul and Ricochet both look like $1 million coming out of it.
OMG?
I'm going to agree. But I'm going to go back to Chris Best's point. I'm wishing they had that big viral moment that was being hyped up over the last couple of days.
That's what I mean.
And they really didn't. And it didn't have to be the springboard clothesline from the Rumble. It didn't have to be a ladder spot. But all in all, a great match. To Parrish's point, I didn't like the way it ended with just some stooge from nowhere coming in and slipping brass knucks onto Logan Paul's hands.
Yeah, it was one of Logan Paul's buddies or something like that.
Yeah, it's one of the guys who works for him. He does his
It was a security guard.
Yeah.
But
So,
I gotta say, sorry, OMD, go ahead.
But all in all, a good, entertaining match. And it really delivered. Probably went a little bit longer than I would have expected it to, or probably even would have liked, just because Ricochet hasn't gotten a pay-per-view in a while.
I kind of like the homages they paid to past wrestlers in the match too. Like you had Logan Paul doing the Hulk Hogan taunt and his own version of Hulk Hogan's leg drop. You had Ricochet imitating The Rock, and then later on the Macho Man.
Yes,
I kind of enjoyed those.
Yes, and even the Braun Strowman, although I'm not a fan of Braun.
Yeah.
No,
No,
but
but
everything kind of fit in. It felt like in place. And, Pete did ask, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the picture from the video that Logan posted earlier. Yes, Logan did make it, ring gear and all, to Jake Paul's side to go ahead and walk to the ring with his brother Jake Paul, which is why this match was the opening match of the night. I think they
Yes.
killed it. I've
Yeah.
been saying for a long time with Logan Paul's matches that in the beginning, I felt like people were carrying him, and I think they were. At this point now, he's holding his own.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
not being carried anymore. Is he leading the match? No. Is he the one who's, doing all the hard work? No. But at least finally now it seems like he's more on top of it. He's more involved in telling the story of the match, and it's not just him along for the ride doing something fun to make it exciting.
Right.
He's getting so much better every time he's out there. And Corey said it, like him or hate him, you have to respect what he's doing in this ring, because part-time or not, he's earned some of these opportunities, because every time they put him out there, he goes out there and delivers. And yeah, the match may have gone on 5 minutes too long, but you know what? Give Ricochet 5 extra minutes is a whole lot better than giving a lot of people 5 more minutes.
Yeah.
well, one thing you got to look at is Logan Paul being given an opportunity? No, he's earning it, and people really need to look at the aspect of like the time frame that they have. Did Logan Paul get carried, like you said? Absolutely not, because he's a lot more comfortable in who he is and what he has to be in the WWE nowadays. He has physically and verbally admitted that on on past episodes of Impulsive.
Yep.
The one thing that he's doing right now is that he's understanding the moment that he's in. And when he understands the moment he's in, he knows how to take his time. And as a villain, that is crucial. And when it comes to somebody like Ricochet, who's a benefactor of that story, it only makes him look greater in that act. And just like this match, he got cheated out of a win. He got used with the brass knucks. So Ricochet, even though he lost in a SummerSlam match against Logan Paul, people need to realize that this was a great situation for Ricochet,
Oh, yeah.
regardless of the outcome.
Oh, yeah.
And this was just an amazing match. Logan Paul is people really need to look at. Logan Paul has been nothing but of a home run investment for WWE.
He's worth every penny they've invested in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Ricochet, like you said, Parrish, came out of that match looking like $1 million, even with the loss.
Yeah.
And
with the way
hopefully
this
now
match
they can
ended-
give him his push.
And with the way this match ended, it left it open for a rematch down the road, too.
Mm-hmm.
Just want to make sure to go ahead and tell people in the chat to go ahead and give us your thoughts in the comment section. And if you're on the YouTube side, go ahead and hit that like button. Go ahead and subscribe so you can see more fun shows like this. Talk about all kinds of shows that we have coming up later on. I'm going to go ahead and move on if everybody's okay with that.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
Cody versus Brock, second match of the night. Way earlier than I had ever anticipated. Parrish, we're going to go ahead and start with you this time. What do you think?
I thought the physicality and the realism they brought in this match was absolutely amazing. Were there moments of time where you thought, okay, what are they doing? Sure, but that's going to be anything, right? Like, we have a match later on in the card that was an MMA match, and sometimes this match felt like it was an MMA match because of the history of Brock Lesnar. But despite that, this match was a one-on-one physicality start to finish. And what I loved about it is Cody Rhodes stayed true to who he was. Brock Lesnar stayed true to who he was. And at the end of the day, Cody Rhodes won, and respect at the end of the day was shown. If you thought at the end of the day that you're going to see some shenanigans pulled, but what you got was Brock Lesnar, of all people, giving you not only the respect, but the coat of arms of greatness, you're going to be completely impressed, just like I was as a fan. Brock Lesnar was absolutely amazing in defeat, while Cody Rhodes was absolutely amazing in victory.
We got Leeds Delivers popping in saying this was a superb match. I agree. OMD, what about you? What did you think?
I absolutely loved it. Little early on in the match when it started to look like Suplex City, I was getting flashbacks to Lesnar Cena from SummerSlam a number of years ago.
I was excited. I was counting the suplexes. I'm like, is he going to get to 16 or not? He didn't, but I was.
But the way they told that story and the way they delivered that match was absolutely amazing. Cody coming out on top, and Parrish alluded to it. The handshake at the end, the respect. You couldn't have asked for more. For a night with 4 main events, you had to book one every other match.
Every other match was a main event according to WWE tonight.
Yep.
Yes. What do you think on this match?
So this whole, I want to talk about this whole build to the match too, as well. It
Yep.
totally felt like a 3-act film to me. So you had the first act where Cody beat Brock pretty easily from what I remember. The second act, Brock comes in, he's a little bit stronger, and he dominates Cody. This one felt like the final boss in a video game, in a movie, where Brock just kept on dominating and physically attacking him until Cody just pulled out of his ass that win to get, and I loved every moment of it.
So when I was in the Call of Unity, because I spent a majority of my time in the Call of Unity Discord tonight, going ahead and talking to some wonderful people, Leeds Delivers included, among others. I was talking about how this match felt like it was a WWE 2K23 game, where I was trying to cheese that win just to move on.
Yeah.
Suplex, Cody rolls to the outside, 6, 7, 8, 9 count, rolls back in, repeat. The repetitiveness started to get to me at a point, and I'm like, oh, I really hope they have something more, because if this is the match, I'm not going to be pleased. And they did. The way the match started and the way the match ended, I really, really loved. There was that small repetitive bit in the middle that I wasn't a huge fan of, and I feel like we could have knocked 5 minutes off this match, and it would have been a little bit better. But I can't say enough good things about this match. I really enjoyed it, but the repetitiveness did get to me a bit. Did it get to anybody else, or was that just me?
The count out stuff, I felt like there was just one. They could have knocked off 1 or 2 count out spots, to me at least. That part did feel like it dragged on for me a little bit.
I really didn't even notice it, to be honest. I was just more enthralled with the overall story.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing that I want to know, because we know that Brock went into this match as the heel. Obviously, the quote-unquote face turn at the end with the respect. And we saw it at the end of the Logan Paul Ricochet match as well, is when, even though they're heels and they were walking back, they were shaking hands and slapping 5 with the fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you don't normally see that from heels.
There's a very good point. One quick question, and then we'll wrap up this match unless anybody else has any thoughts. Where do we see Cody going from here? Chris?
Which one?
Either one.
I see him. I know Payback is still around the corner. We got October's pay-per-view, but I see him captaining War Games at Survivor Series.
Okay. Parrish?
I think a lot of people are looking at where do we see Cody moving on, and I think this is a story of where do we see Brock moving along. There's been a lot of speculation about Brock hanging him up, and there's been a lot of speculation that if WrestleMania 41 comes and it is Minnesota, Minneapolis, that could be the last match of Brock Lesnar. So is he wanting to spend the last time making sure that he's doing what he can to put over the guys who he believes is going to be the future stars of this business? And I think we saw a potential of that, but also at the same point, I do think there's a babyface turn moving forward for Brock Lesnar. Who is he going to face? That could be anyone, really, because as we all know, Brock Lesnar is a free agent. So maybe he goes to SmackDown. Maybe he does something else. I've heard speculation that him and Omos could still do something because he liked working with Omos. For Cody Rhodes specifically, I really think the Judgment Day is the best thing forward We can get to it later with Finn Balor, but I think Finn Balor could be the best case scenario for Cody Rhodes.
OMG.
Gunther for Cody.
There you go. Payback and Gunther. I like that.
And for Brock, as Parrish alluded to, I've heard the rumors and the scuttlebutt of him working with Omos and wanting to go into a rivalry with him. But for Brock being a free agent, where does he go? Who knows? I mean, maybe we see him go to NXT to try and put over Braun Breaker.
Maybe.
OMD, you just read my head. I was thinking about what if he did that.
So for Cody, I think that we're headed to, I said it the other night, and I think I like the idea. I wouldn't mind a feud with Seth Rollins. I think Cody's going to start going through as many of Roman's old opponents as he can on the path to WrestleMania to try to take Roman on one more time by trying to defeat everybody and anybody on the Raw side that he can. Whether that be Sammy, whether that be KO, whether that be Seth. Just try to vanquish them all because he's now done Brock and he just starts going through that list. I think you could do a real fun thing if you start having Seth just go through the list of people that Roman's beat on his momentous thing that Cody could get his hands on. Could Randy return soon? Yeah. Rev Theory had put it out there that potentially Randy was going to return tonight, but
yes, and Randy was in Detroit.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just going to say he was there.
Triple H. For Brock, I have a crazy idea, and I don't think it's going to happen, but bear with me. We're talking Minnesota. What about Chad Gable?
I'd only disagree with Chad Gable based on what we saw on Monday night with Gunther and Chad Gable. I have a strong feeling that we're going to see Chad Gable go for the Intercontinental title, and that is why I think Chad Gable and Gunther are going to be kind of married into the next PLE. And that is why.
But I mean, I don't think you're seeing Brock again until Survivor Series anyway. So I think you have time to do Chad and Gunther and move to.
And that's another thing we can take into consideration. Brock Lesnar doesn't have to be there tomorrow, or on Monday for Raw. He could take a sabbatical and be just the same when he comes back. So it's really up in the air with Brock. He is the most unsure talent that they have in WWE right now because he doesn't have to be there every day like I believe the importance of Cody Rhodes is.
I want to throw up this earlier comment from Bass. I don't know if I got to it when I was saying hello to everybody, but we're in the Cody versus Brock match, so I figured I'd pop it up there. Any last thoughts on Cody versus Brock? Parrish will be back in just a moment, everybody. Don't you worry.
Okay.
Last thoughts on this match?
No, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with the way this ended. It was the 3-match structure that I like seeing out of feuds.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to what I feel was the biggest waste of time on the show. The Battle Royal. So I'm going to give you a hot take here. I could have cared less about having LA Knight on this card. I really could have. I would have, if you're going to spend this much time on a match, you might as well have just done Becky and Trish or Rhea and Raquel in this spot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think LA Knight needed to be on the. I understand that this would have just inflamed the internet even more if LA Knight hadn't been on the card. I really don't care. Battle Royals aren't my thing to begin with, but I never felt like there was anything that was going to happen other than LA Knight win. And the match didn't do a whole lot for me otherwise. So for me, this was the biggest waste of time on the entire show. And I think you could have taken 5 minutes from Cody Brock, 5 minutes from Ricochet and Logan Paul, take the entire Battle Royal and give Becky and Trish seemingly, I think, 20, 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
To knock that out of the park and have 3 women's matches on this card and not have the backlash that you've been getting for the last 3 days for not having Becky and Trish on this card.
I'm going to agree with you. Like, you didn't need this. If you're going to do it, you could have put it on the pre-show. You could have had it result in something, but all this was a battle royal for the sake of a battle royal.
It wasn't even for the sake of a battle royal. It was for the sake of getting LA Knight on the card, because God forbid we don't have LA Knight, because the fan base online, the
Right.
IWC is going to throw another hissy fit because
Right.
they aren't pushing LA Knight fast enough for the
No,
IWC.
but what did LA Knight gain from out of this? And then all of a sudden, because you could have done this on the pre-show, and you're right, you could have put in Trish and Becky. You could have also had it lead to Theory versus Santos versus LA Knight in a triple threat in that spot.
It was to save LA Fright from his botched SmackDown. I mean, it is what it is. Parrish.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
But then you stick Theory into this battle royal, and then all of a sudden it's 25 men, and then Omos gets added last second.
No.
Yeah, and I gotta say,
what did that achieve?
I was gonna say, like, I knew LA Knight was gonna win. It was bar none. But I gotta say that when I saw Omos come out, my heart did sink, and I'm like, oh no, I hope he's not the one that's winning it. Then I saw that he got the Andre the Giant spot, and I was happy when they threw him out.
Parrish?
Yeah.
Okay, let me talk to you.
All right.
Yeah.
Minute there.
Don't mute my mic. Ed, don't be that guy. Just don't. All right? We've come a long way to where we were. Don't be that guy. Here's the thing. Does this match need to be on SummerSlam? Absolutely not. Are we absolutely mad that Trish and Becky were taken out of this match or out of this card? Absolutely. But if you ask me, was this the right card or right match where they should have been replaced with? Absolutely not. Because in my opinion, we'll get to that next match where they should have replaced it with. And guess what? Ironically enough, yeah. I'm just going to say that. But here's the thing. What I loved about this match, it gave LA Knight a moment that he deserved. Because wrestling needs to be about the moments. Does this match make sense? Absolutely not. But here's the thing. We see in this business, and this is one of WWE's biggest mistakes, they have too many superstars for main event PLEs like SummerSlam. I think truly you need to make SummerSlam a 2-day event to benefit all the employees you have. However, with that being said, and I don't have a drink here, I left a place where I bought them. I'm going to say this. The single fact that LA Knight got a moment in a big PLE that people can appreciate. We all heard the pop to when he came out. It is deserved. It is well appreciated from a viewer standpoint that they actually have plans for him. You can tell that everybody that had stuff going on in this match, you can tell got amplified. Whether it was Santos and Austin Theory, it got amplified. Whether it was Omos trying to make his mark, it got amplified because moving past SummerSlam, that's going to be a thing. We also saw Chad Gable have a great performance. He eliminated Ludwig Kaiser, which in retrospect is going to allow him an opportunity to go after that Intercontinental title with Gunther moving forward, as we saw on Monday. Did I hate it? No. Am I still mad that they didn't do Becky and Trish? Yeah. I just wouldn't replace them with this match because the next match we're going to talk about is the match I think they should have replaced with.
Does anybody else have any lasting thoughts on the Battle Royal?
No.
Nope.
All right. So we're going to let Parrish start with this one because Parrish has thoughts. Shayna versus Ronda. MMA rules.
Oh my God, Ed, if you wanted a rant in today's day that you're not a part of, all right, here it is. Okay, the trend right now is give WWE women a chance. And I fully am 100% behind that. there's a lot of great female talent that deserve an opportunity on SummerSlam. However, you have Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. I understand it's potentially Ronda Rousey's last match, but god damn it, at least do something in your last match that makes us think you're doing something good. Because this match was absolutely atrocious. The only benefit of this match is that Shayna Baszler won it, but Ronda Rousey, you are the reason, I believe, to why Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus got cut, because your selfish ass needed to leave the company because of your name, and you absolutely were the reason why good talent like Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus got cut. I don't want to hear it anymore. You had an opportunity to steal the show, and you crapped the bed more than a 5-year-old. How dare you? You should be ashamed. Go back to UFC so you can be embarrassed by the female CM Punk. Thank you. Ran over.
I'm not really.
Not quite Ed level, but not bad. I like it.
I'm not really sure how to follow that. I noticed Leeds comment there about what MMA rules. Cole and Graves didn't even know the rules.
They didn't even know the moves.
No, I mean it was knockout or like tap out or knockout to
Knockout,
win it.
tap out, pass out.
Yeah.
Pretty self-explanatory.
But why are they,
Holy shit, guys.
like why are they still trying to use rope breaks? And they're like, well, there's no rope breaks in the match. And then, a suplex to the outside. Well, you know what? If it's MMA rules, stop using wrestling moves and actually hit each other.
But
technically, you
in
can use
MMA,
wrestling moves in
OMD,
the
they
UFC.
do use suplexes.
Yeah.
They do use suplexes in MMA, OMD.
You have
I don't
maybe
know.
rope breaks in Pride, but nobody in North America knew Pride like the way they know UFC, where both these women came from, and for some reason, in an MMA match, you didn't decide to do a cage, you had ropes. My God, I had 11 beers tonight, and I could have had more logical sense than this match.
Yes, Astrid, we completely agree with you.
I'm going to say something. And it's obviously going to be a hot take based on the rest of the crew. I didn't hate this. I kind of liked this. It was MMA light. It wasn't a great MMA fight. It was a pretty bad one. But I'm not a huge MMA guy, so like I was fine with it. It gave me variety. It gave me a little difference. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's better than watching Ronda Rousey wrestle. Like,
yes,
it's legitimately, it was better than watching her try to have a wrestling match.
Yes.
Yeah.
While it wasn't great, I'll give you, it wasn't great. I had fun because Ronda wasn't fumbling around for the entire match. She knew what she was doing. They had an idea of what they were going for. And it's like people are crapping on it like MMA for beginners. And I get it. And not having rope breaks and Diaz versus Paul is better. And all of those things are true. But you want to know the biggest difference between something like Diaz and Paul versus this? A worked, real fight is never going to look as real as just having a fight. And that's the problem. Once you start working MMA and having predetermined spots and having a predetermined finish, it's a whole lot less believable and it comes down a few notches. But at the end of the day, I was thoroughly sports entertained, to be honest with you. I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
This match should have been this match should have been sponsored by Dyson, because nothing in my eyes sucked and blown more than Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey, and an MMA fight. The only thing I'm happy about is Shayna Baszler won, because she should be pushed to a credible position. Ronda Rousey, in the phrase of WWF moving to WWE, get the F out.
All right.
Do you have any thoughts on this before we move on?
Okay, so what I think they could have done to make this match just a little bit more entertaining, because they are having that partnership with the UFC under Endeavor, they could have brought in like Joe Rogan to explain the maneuvers to the fans who don't know MMA. They could have had Herb Dean come in as the referee for the match or something like that. I don't know, just a thought I thought about when watching this match.
I think there are little things they could have done. At the end of the day, like, we all get to agree to disagree on, how much we enjoy things. And that's the joy of wrestling. Not
Absolutely.
everybody has the same opinion. And of course, to also layer this out there, Parrish's opinion is always going to be vastly different for the most part than the rest of us, because Parrish is a former in-ring talent. He sees everything that happens from a different point of view than the rest of us. I don't think Chris and OMD have been in-ring talents, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
we
have.
Oh, you
been
both
in the
have.
ring too.
Sorry.
No, but
I
after I
apologize.
take a dump, I still see the same color crap as
Yeah,
everybody else.
Yeah, Parrish. I get it.
The only
Sorry,
other,
you know what
the
I'm
only
trying.
other, there were two other things that they could have done to make this a proper MMA style fight, which would have been either do the fight pit
Yeah, I would have liked the fight pit.
or take the ropes off.
Yep, either of those. Like, so basically, Raw Underground, well, NXT Underground, like they did a
Or-
couple weeks ago on NXT.
Yeah.
Or just simply set the ring up to look like a boxing ring, you know?
Okay, can I say one thing that's actually like more even keeled than what
Yeah,
we're
sure,
just
go ahead.
talking about? The one thing I'm gonna say from an entirety of SummerSlam is that I thought Brock and Cody should have had a stipulation in their match. I thought there should have been more difference of this match than any other match. I thought that was something that we possibly should have had that we didn't get, and I didn't think that did the competitors justice. However, with that being said, Cody and Brock did a great job. Ronda, what was your excuse?
I mean, Cody had a good explanation on Fightful today, and if you haven't seen it, go check out the Fightful Wrestling Twitter account or the X account, whatever you want to call it. Sean Ross asks him that direct question about why they don't have a stipulation. Cody gives a pretty good answer, and I'll let them go ahead and get that. But we're going to go ahead and move on to better things that all of us can enjoy. Drew McIntyre versus Gunther. We'll start with OMD.
Wow. Just wow. What a hard-hitting physical affair. Counters and kickouts. And this for me was really where everything started to elevate for the rest of the night. This was a fantastic match. And even like, and I'm probably a bigger Drew fan than I am of Gunther, but I respect him and I like his work a lot. So you couldn't go wrong with whoever you put the belt on.
Parrish.
These guys did exactly what we wanted them to do. They just beat the crap out of each other, and they told a story over the Intercontinental title. What I loved about this is that they competed over a championship, which is something that was different from any other match on the show. The Intercontinental title was absolutely an all-star because it mattered at the end of this contest. I thought Gunther did everything he had to be as a defending and fighting champion, which he is, while Drew McIntyre did everything he had to do to dethrone him. I thought it was a valiant effort from Drew McIntyre. Their fight on top of the rope when they went shot for shot was an absolutely thing of beauty and a complete indication of what this match was. All they did was hard hitting to each other for the best, all because they both wanted to be Intercontinental Champion. Gunther comes out victorious because he, in 40 days, will be known as what we know today as the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all the time.
32 days. Ironically, it is 32 days, according to Michael Cole, during this match You want to know what is exactly 32 days from now? Payback.
Your birthday.
No, Payback. Payback pay-per-view is exactly 32 days from tonight, which means it is the exact night that he passes the record. I have a feeling he loses it that night.
So I liked how the commentators kept on hammering home about how close Gunther is to beating Honky's record. And the old style me of booking from the Vince era was thinking, oh shoot, he's losing the belt tonight. And I'm actually very glad that he didn't. And I love, as OMD said, as Parrish said, this was just a knockdown drag-out brawl, 2 European brawlers, and I loved that. I loved every moment of the match. It was one of those matches that literally had me glued to the screen the entire time.
So I was a little underwhelmed. I'll be honest with this. I thought I'd get another level. When the match ended, I was waiting for that next level. I thought there was going to be one more level to go.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not disappointed. Like I said, I used the word underwhelmed as opposed to disappointment because I think I had higher hopes than it should. Yes. Okay, you can remember when my birthday is, and I forgot when yours is, Astrid. Things happen. Moving on. I think in my mind's eye, I thought it was going to be just a little bit better. One of the things I really did like is that they, in the beginning of the match, they mentioned that these two guys have been traveling around the world and around the same circles and never once had a one-on-one match until tonight.
And I swear I wanted to prove Michael Cole wrong, but for once he was right because
it was the first time ever one-on-one match. They've been in, I think, the 2 or 3 matches where they're part of the same match.
Yeah, I was going to say they worked together in WCPW, but those were tag matches they had.
Yep. They were never in a singles match in WCPW/Defiant.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Forget
moving on.
Forget the bloodline. This is the real Civil War right now.
Oh, we'll deal with that on Tuesday.
Is the Ed and Astrid birthday war taking over tonight?
Yeah. You forget somebody's birthday once. Now, don't mind you.
And you've never been married. This is a big deal.
Now, remember, it's not like one of us went out of our way to go ahead and get one of her favorite NXT superstars to give her a cameo on her birthday. It's not like I went out of my way to make sure that she got a cameo, and I certainly didn't get one on my birthday. Just saying. But, anybody else? No, trust me, I know that part. They're almost always right, too. I learned that one, too.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any thoughts on Drew versus Gunther before we start moving on?
I think I want more out of them, but I'm pretty sure this is the finish.
Yeah.
What I loved is going out of this PLE or pay-per-view, depending on which generation you're from and you think of shows. I love the fact the Intercontinental title is viewed in this limelight as it is right now. It is the fighting championship of WWE. It is one that if you are to claim, you have to go through hell. And I believe that is something of substance because of how everybody viewed it growing up when I was a child. And we thought this was the quote-unquote workers' championship, the everyday championship, because there is a level of prestige now among the Intercontinental title, and that needs and 100% has to be attached to the work of Gunther and what he's doing moving forward. And if Monday Night Raw was any indication of what we're seeing moving past SummerSlam, Chad Gable and Gunther are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Moving on to the most overbooked match of the night, Seth versus Finn. I really enjoyed this. I thought this was a fun match. I thought the Judgment Day stuff at the end was a bit overbooked. It was a bit overblown. I thought they went 1 or 2 steps with it too far, or didn't go 1 or 2 steps far enough. it sat in that middle ground. They either needed to go more into it or less into it. And they went into it at just, for me, the wrong level. Like, either Damian needs to insert himself in the match. Like, it just felt you weren't even, you know what? Quiet you. No more putting up comments. Who's running the comment section here while I'm trying to run the brand section?
I am. The guy on the phone in his car is.
Yeah.
I've
No,
learned the app mobile.
I thought it was a whole bunch of fun. I thought Finn looked like $1 million in this match. I bit on almost all of the near falls. I really thought they were going to put the title on Finn a couple times. There was a couple times earlier in the match that I really thought Seth had it. It was a bit of a home run of a match. Like I said, they either needed to do less Judgment Day or more Judgment Day. But at the end of the day, I'm surprised Seth still has the championship. But I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I thought Finn was going to walk away with this one too, just the way that the match was going. But that finish, the way Damian Priest just threw the Money in the Bank contract to Finn, I don't know, it didn't gel well with me, that ending, for whatever reason, and I'm not exactly sure why.
I thought this was a fantastic match as well. Again, yes, I agree with you. The ending was just too much. And I'm going to agree. I thought Finn was getting the belt. But the story they told, the mind games that they played, the 7 that Finn had painted on him, Seth coming out in the jacket from 7 years ago. And then the counters, like Finn doing the buckle bomb into the barricade. And it wasn't even like Damian's ending. It was that stare down between Damian and Finn at the end that really got to me. And the breakdown in communication where he's like, take the briefcase. No. Like,
yeah,
you needed to, you should have had, I would have had Damian cash in and then maybe tell Seth to take the pin. Or not Seth, have Finn take the pin.
Yeah.
Or get the pin and win the title.
Parrish, your thoughts?
Oh, I'm so happy I'm last for this one. One, these guys can wrestle forever, and I'm always going to be intrigued because they're two of the best in-ring performers I've ever seen. However, the story that they're saying, I love the fact that the Judgment Day were not only there, present, but involved. I love the fighting effort of Seth Rollins in this match. Do I think that Seth Rollins should come out unscathed 1-on-4? No. But it gave me a wrinkle tonight. It gave me a wrinkle with Damian Priest. Why? Because you can tell his attention was there to help Finn. However, he was disappointed that Finn couldn't capitalize after this match. You saw that with the head shake, where he looked like a disappointed father to Finn Balor when he's like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. And that's when you know he's going to take things into his own hands. Because as we know, Rhea and Dom, they do their own thing every brand that they can get to, as we see every Tuesday on NXT and every Monday on Monday Night Raw. But the one thing that I thought was absolutely amazing is that we actually saw the doubt in the whether or not they're on or off the same page between Damian and Finn. We saw on Monday Finn giving Damian that briefcase because he wanted Damian to cash in. We saw true attempts from Damian to try to help Finn. In fact, he took a lot of hits tonight in attempt to be that casualty for Finn, and Finn just couldn't get the job done. I feel that is going to be the story moving out, and that is why Finn Balor is very, very much capable of being a guy that could be looked upon the Judgment Day as someone that can't get the job done, thus needing a potential change moving forward with the Judgment Day, with Damian Priest taking the helm.
You know what? I'm gonna agree with you, and I'm gonna call it here and now. At Payback, it will be Damian Priest versus Finn Balor.
I think that might be a little too soon. What if we see the breakup say it again? Because Parrish had already, or Parrish or OMD, I can't remember which one he mentioned, but Cody moves on to Judgment Day. What if War Games is the breakup of Judgment Day?
Maybe. It's very possible.
It is, but I think they've been sowing enough of the seeds now for the breakup of the Judgment Day that I think that maybe Payback, or that you've already broken up the bloodline. Now you're gonna. Why do you want to break up your second biggest faction now that you've just broken up the bloodline?
Well, that's where you do a slow burn to the breakup.
They've already been doing that, so maybe they go have this grudge match. And you get the Brock Cody result. They shake hands, they hug, and then the Judgment Day can build on that. I would go look at the other company and look at the number of times that they have faction members or even tag teams face off against each other.
NXT's been telling a story of it where a bunch of their tag teams, especially the babyface tag teams, had single matches to bring themselves together and have a more cohesive unity as a tag team. Any more thoughts on Finn versus Seth before we move on?
I can't think of anything more off that match right now, other than that it was a very fun and entertaining match.
Parrish,
I just love the conclusion of this, with the 7 being a very integral part. We saw 7 on the chest of Finn Balor. We all know from the Instagram and all that, with the 7 years biatch on the shoes of Seth Rollins. We all know that the history of these two were very highly indicated in this match. I think this was definitely a finale, and I think we're going to see potentially a respect between these two down the road.
OMD, anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, before we move on to the next match, I want to go ahead because I've been paying attention. If anybody's seen my eyes down, it's because of this. I've been paying attention to the post-show press conference from Triple H because he's gotten up there recently. He was asked directly about what his thoughts are with the women's division and in the women going forward and whatnot. And he had a very interesting portion to his answer, and I want to bring this up. Again, go ahead and watch the whole thing because it's a small part of a much larger answer that he gave. But he talked about the women's division, and he goes, I don't see it as women's talent and men's talent. I see it as all WWE talent. And when the stories indicate where they go, those are the way that things go. So in defense of where he's going with women's stories and where he's the booking of the shows, that is, like I said, a small portion of his statement going forward about the women's division, where when he's putting these shows together, it sounds like he's putting them together as he's taking all of the pieces, regardless what gender the talent is, and going, what storylines make the best show, and that seems to be where he's going. Again, there's a much bigger answer to that. You can only get so much from closed captioning while people are talking to make sure that I know where I'm going with hosting the show. But I did want to bring that to people's attention to go ahead and definitely check out that post-show press conference. To go ahead and get that. I brought that up because we're moving on to the women's match, but Parrish, I think, has something to say.
Yeah, before we go to that, and I just want to add to this, because I understand the answer. I understand that he's talking from the business side and stuff like that. He's trying. It almost seems like he's deflecting what we're thinking, but also I think it does indicate the difference of how he thinks to where every fan thinks, right? But at the same time, I want to also allow people the honest truth. We are four males, straight males, talking about this business while we talk about the ongoing trend that is women's wrestling and giving the WWE women a chance, to the point that we are not a woman and we do not understand that difference of how important, not only from a showcase point, but also from an inspirational aspect and how it means to the evolution of the women development in professional wrestling in a business where obviously women take a second and backseat to the males, and we want to see change. So
Yeah.
let's just be on the forefront of understanding that this is something that, even as a straight male, I am very much on the side of saying the women deserve this opportunity. They earned this opportunity. They should have that opportunity before we go into a match where I think three women absolutely killed it tonight.
Oh, you and I beg to differ. Oh, I think these three women shit the fucking bed tonight. I think they were all a step behind from the word go to the end of the match. I didn't think they got a spot right to save their lives tonight. These are three of the most talented and really, really good women, and they've all had absolute 5-star matches in the past, and none of them seem to be on the same page to save their life tonight. I liked the ideas for all of the spots, but between Charlotte's wardrobe malfunction, between people being out of the way of spots and having to wait more than once for spots, it just felt like every step of the way they were just 1 or 2 seconds off, one step behind. And this isn't just me. I was talking to Astrid through this entire match. This wasn't as good as I expected it to be. Their timing wasn't great. This match got way more time. I was looking at the clock and I'm going, all right, I know Jey Uso and Roman Reigns were given 45 minutes to an hour. That means they've got about 15, 20 minutes that they can get in here. They got 25 minutes. And again, I think had the spots been a little bit more crisp and had the timing been a little bit better, this would have been the match of the night. But unfortunately, Charlotte was yelling for spots because they all seemed to be just a couple seconds off and nothing seemed to be going right. And like I said, maybe they just had a bad night because these three are some of the best. But I beg to differ that they killed it tonight, because I think it was the exact opposite, unfortunately.
This was the match that I was actually looking more forward to the Battle Royal than I was this match. For me, this match was the overbooked match of the entire evening. And I mean, how many times did we have to live through Bianca versus Asuka only for Charlotte to interfere? Charlotte versus Bianca for Asuka to interfere? Like, enough. And yes, the timing was way off. The spots, yes, Charlotte needed the ref to fix her outfit. Bianca completely missing the apron and injuring her knee.
God, that yell was, she had me on that. I thought she was a lot more hurt than she was. I thought she tore something right off the bat.
I think she was actually hurt, and they probably said, okay, we'll put you back in the match. And that's why they did things the way they did them tonight, because we will, I'm sure, get to the very next part here very shortly.
Yeah. So this match for me, as Ed had said, there was no cohesion between any of the three of them. Usually they all three can put on decent matches, but to me, Charlotte is the one that stuck out like a sore thumb because I just feel like she did not earn her spot in this match. because she comes back after however long she was gone and says, "Hey, I want a title match." Like, come on, that's bullshit to me.
Charlotte never earns her spot in a match. She gets the spot based on nepotism.
A little bit on nepotism, a little bit on past performance. I want to bring up Noob and Co.'s comment, and then we're going to go ahead and go to Parrish because I know he and I have differing opinions. This match screams bad karma right from the green to being a train wreck, like the match Are We Watching? But yeah, it was a natural disaster, and the finish was dumpster fire. As a fan of Asuka's, I've never seen any of her matches being overbooked, but not that overbooked. I mean, yeah, it was a little clumsy. It was a little bit overbooked, but for the most part, at least that was overbooked with the three people who were in the match.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like at least it wasn't a ton of things going on outside and other things like that. Asher jumping in saying she does like the ending though. I wasn't
I
a
like
huge,
the ending too.
yeah,
Yes.
I didn't really hate the ending. I thought the ending was good. Parrish,
Mm-hmm.
your turn, my friend.
Okay, so when I said they killed this match, I only said those words knowing you, Ed, where you were going to go. This match was awful.
Okay.
All right. I only said that for the dramatic purpose.
Okay.
I wanted this match, of all matches on this card, to stand out as a show of, look, this is what the women are capable of. And to me, this is where I begin my rant on when I'm hearing about why Becky and Trish are on the card. Yes, legit gripe. Two of the potential greatest of all time, not on the biggest card. And I can understand the want of Asuka, Charlotte, Bianca. But there's a level of understanding that these three just truly did not have in this match. You say Charlotte, and then there's a lot of entitlement with Charlotte because of her last name. I throw that away because I do think Charlotte is a lot better than the entitlement she gets on social media. I think she's pretty good. Astrid says she was doing this, she was doing that, she was screaming things out. I think she was trying very hard in this match to get the ship back at sail.
Yeah, and that's what I had said to Astrid earlier when we were talking about it too. I was saying Charlotte's trying to to get shit back on track because Lord knows everything
she was
falling
trying to be
apart.
the ring general. She was
Yeah.
trying to be the ring general.
I don't think she was trying. I think she was. And I do think that in a triple threat match, I've been there, it's not easy when you have people. Sometimes you have a bad night at the office. It's very hard to look at Asuka and saying, you just didn't hit your points. Because how often do we say that about Asuka? She is, in my opinion, one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. And it's really hard to say she missed points. But it also felt like this match had nothing to do with her. And she was the champion going in. She was the main focus going in. What she held around her waist, on her shoulder, depending on the time, was the reason this match was happening. But for whatever reason, she was the third wheel, and I thought that was wrong.
You're absolutely right. She was absolutely the third wheel. As the champion, she should have been the focus, and she wasn't. This was Charlotte and Bianca with Asuka as the side piece. Then, I can't even complain about the mist into Charlotte and then the roll up while still in the figure four, because that was actually a decent way to finish it.
Yeah.
But
I agree. I agree. Because all three of them were involved in the finish in some way, and that's what I kind of like out of triple threat matches.
Yep.
Yeah,
and
like I was trying to say, I'm going to give the three of them the benefit. I think if they redid this match on SmackDown, I have a feeling it would be 1,000 times better because I just think it was just three ladies who had a bad night. just
Mhm.
error after error. And like I said, I just think they were all just off. I don't think it was a bad written out match. I don't think TJ Wilson put together a bad match. I just think that everybody was a bit of a step behind. Everybody was a little bit off, and the match just kind of fell off the rails. Newman Co. says the MMA rules match is garbage, but then again, the triple threat was a dumpster fire because it was overhyped, and not to mention we were waiting for the return of a certain pirate princess. That's on everybody else for thinking she was coming back tonight. That's on people, not on everybody.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that's
I knew she wasn't going to be back tonight, but
Let's
yeah,
go
that's
ahead and
on
talk
everyone
about
who
the
thinks
first match.
returns happen at pay-per-views when they don't.
I just want to say one thing that I know is going to be maybe a hit or miss, but we've already covered both women's matches tonight, saying we didn't like them. They weren't what we thought they were going to be. If we're talking going in about the travesty that is Becky and Trish not getting an opportunity, I think you got to look at the 5 women on this card that did have this opportunity and underperformed, because I really think you got to look in the mirror when you're those 5 competitors and saying Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus did not get an opportunity for you. And you didn't make the best out of a card on SummerSlam, and you didn't have a match worth talking positively about for a lot of people. In fact, you had an off night. That's not a good sign when you have 2 people who, again, I say, 2 of the greatest female workers of all time got cut for you. There's a level of accountability knowing you should have stepped up a little bit more than you did. But let's go beyond that. Io Sky cashed in and became women's champion tonight, even though Bianca won the match in a very underwhelming way. She took advantage of the injury that was Bianca's knee and became the new women's champion, which gave us a little bit of positivity and skepticism over the direction of where this is going nowadays, because Io Sky, let's face it, deserves this. What an amazing moment where after 1 year where Damage Control debuted, they were entering celebrating their first singles world championship.
absolutely, I could not agree more. I was actually waiting after Io won it for Bailey to turn.
Mm-hmm. Chris Best? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I love the cash in too, because for that brief moment when I heard Io Sky's theme play, I'm like, wait a minute, whose theme is that? I'm like, oh, Io Sky, she's coming to cash in, and I just sat right up and I'm watching.
And the funny thing is that just a couple of weeks ago, I had read that they were going to do something different, and that this year's female Money in the Bank cash in was going to lose. So I think the reason why they sent Io Sky down and win the title is because Bianca is injured.
And I just want to go ahead and take a chance to respond to this comment. Well, Damage Control wants revenge on Bianca for burying them, especially during the last woman standing in Saudi. But let's be clear. Damage Control has never once on God's green earth been buried in any way, shape, or form. They may not have been booked as well as they could have been, and probably should have been. But at no point was Bailey, Dakota Kai, or Io Sky ever buried. And I want the IWC to stop using the word buried improperly, because that is a big term and you have to do a whole lot to really be buried. You can be booked poorly and not be buried.
I also want to say one thing that a lot of people overlook, and that is last year at SummerSlam, we saw Io Shirai at that point and Dakota Kai join Bailey to form a group that was later known as Damage Control, where we thought Dakota Kai was not coming back to WWE, and we thought Io Shirai was leaving WWE.
We all
One
thought
year,
Io was going to Stardom.
exactly, and 1 year later, we see the culmination of Io Sky. Yes, they changed her name. Get used to it, people. It is what it is. Whatever. She becomes on the main roster for the first time a woman's champion. And who is there to congratulate her? Bailey. And how amazing was it to see Dakota Sky back from injury? Dakota Kai, yeah, sorry. Come back and be there for that moment to give you, I thought, was an amazing moment for the women and an amazing moment for that group. And this is on top of the fact of the rumor that Kairi Sane re-signed with WWE on reports.
She has a press conference tomorrow morning that'll be played on YouTube at some point on her YouTube channel. And I'm assuming that's going to be the announcement that she's leaving Stardom and coming back.
Yeah, and
Yes,
how great. And
We're
how
gonna go
great.
ahead and move on.
Rumor has it that she is going to be returning possibly as early as this week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Potentially.
So what I liked about the cash-in celebration was we had Bailey and Dakota Kai hugging and all that, but I love how Bailey and Dakota also just left the ring and just let Io Sky have her moment in the ring.
Yeah.
Respect.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now we move on to Tribal Combat.
All right.
Versus Roman Reigns and the cinematic movie that was Tribal Combat. Again, I will reiterate by saying I understand why people don't all enjoy Roman storytelling, slow match paced storytelling that he's been doing since pandemic started. And everything that he's done with that to build this character and to have the Roman Reigns match that we've been getting for the majority of his title reign. I understand why people don't enjoy it. I do. I really love these matches. However, after 2.5 years of watching these matches, I would really love it if we could start telling these stories in 25 to 30 minutes as opposed to 30 to 50 minutes. Because there's a whole lot of downtime in these that I think they could just pick up the pace just a little bit and cut 10, 15 minutes. Because, again, if we're looking at places where we could have had Becky and Trish, in a lot of the downtime in this match, we probably could have got Becky and Trish on this card. But Tribal Combat was fantastic. Jimmy Uso returns. Jimmy Uso turns on his brother. Solo looks like he kind of sort of turned on Roman. I think there's potential for a Fatal 4 at Survivor Series between all four of them for the championship. I'm not sure where this goes. I seriously thought this was going to be the end. I was very surprised that it wasn't the end. So, but again, I love this. I loved everything about this. However, I really wish they could go ahead and do this in a little bit of a quicker time next time because it's starting to get a little too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
When this match started at 11:30 with the ring introductions and ends at 10 after 12, it's getting a little bit long.
Yeah.
And then really I was sort of sitting here laid back on my couch at my phone glancing at the TV because I was ready for the pay-per-view to be over. Then you get the surprise return of Solo, who was supposedly not going to be involved tonight because of what happened last night on SmackDown. And then the Jimmy Uso return and turn on his brother. That shook me. That literally shook me because that was not something I would ever have expected from twins. And it's going to lead to a storyline that I just can't deal with anymore, and that is the brother versus brother, family versus family thing.
So yeah, I'm with Ed here. This match did drag on a little bit. When Solo came out to do his interference, I'm like, okay, where's Jimmy? When's Jimmy coming out? And it felt like I'm not sure how long we waited between Solo's coming out to Jimmy's coming out, but it felt like forever to me.
It was
Felt like
between
another 15 minutes. It was an entertaining match nonetheless.
I was going to say it was between 10 and 15 minutes. Once they got back to the ring, I was expecting the Usos music to hit and Jimmy to come down.
I'm glad that didn't happen, by the way. I'm very glad that didn't happen.
There was a part of me in this that when I saw the Mask could super kick, drag Jey Uso out, there's part of me that just, I was hoping it wasn't Jimmy. Why? Because I'm a younger brother as well, and I could not believe if my older brother cost me something that was very dear to me. However, we know the story that Jimmy was the one that spoke up and said he did not agree with Jey Uso being the replacement of the tribal chief. So does that emotion come back and play us? I cannot agree or disagree with whether this was too long, because at the end of the day, this is the most emotional story that WWE has right now. And what I can say is that it took more emphasis on Jimmy and Jay than it does with anything to do with Roman. And I find that very interesting, because at the end of the day, what does this do with Roman moving forward? Do we see Roman and Solo slowly burn into our mindset? But at the end of the day, what does this do for the WWE Undisputed Universal title? Because I just have no idea now what this means for that championship.
Right?
It kind of feels like the championship took a back seat to this feud, really.
Yeah. I mean, who is there now to step up?
Solo.
And yeah, did anybody notice Paul Heyman did not have two other belts on his shoulder tonight?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to bring this up, Parrish, in a minute once we had some time. Heyman did say during the press conference they're in the bottom of the third inning of this story, and it hasn't even hit its stride yet. So apparently, according to, and again, quote unquote, unnamed WWE source, that Roman drops the belt whenever he and Paul think it's time.
Yes.
And then that's the polite way to word what was apparently said.
In the right emotional response to that, not in like the correct. Like, I'm just gonna say this. If this is the third inning of the storyline, Paul, what the fuck were the first 3 years for?
Yeah,
First inning. An inning a year.
Yeah.
But we've gone ahead.
I don't have 6 more years.
No more yelling.
But no, I mean, when you had Jay pull out when they were going for the spear spike and Roman hit Solo, then you get that communication breakdown and Solo looking at him with the thumb out. You know, and that's
completely rubbing his gut after the spear too.
Yeah, so I mean, I can completely see the four-way that whichever one of you two gentlemen, Chris Best or Parrish, put that out. I could absolutely see it. But I think that would be a four-way where they're going to just say that's just for family honor and the title's not going to be on the line.
All right. Well, you know, we've hit the end of the show. We're about an hour and 15 minutes in. If we don't start cutting it off soon, we're going to end up like Roman Reigns and going about 20 minutes over.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and give the big screen to people. And we're going to go ahead and talk about the things that we've got coming up. We're going to start with our man OMD. Tell people where they can find you and where they can find you on our screens in the near future.
Well, as you can see on the ticker below, you can get me on Facebook under my name, Daniel Harisic, or on Snapchat at One Man Dynamic. And coming up this week, I will be on the Raw Watch Along on Monday night with Carl, Chris Best, and Parrish. I'm still awaiting word on Tuesday night as to whether I will be appearing with them on Turnbuckle Talk. And Thursday, you can catch me on the Boar's Nest with Bubba Duke. We will be playing No Man's Sky this week.
There we go. And Chris Best, what about you, buddy?
All right, so you can catch me on Facebook, you can catch me on YouTube at ChrisDamage83, Twitch TV, CBRS_entertainment, threads.net at CBestFilms83, Facebook.com, Chris.best83. And you can also catch me Monday nights alongside Parrish, alongside OMD, and alongside Carl Carafel for the Raw Watch Along, and Tuesdays 8:05 for the Turnbuckle Talk, where I'm sure Carl's going to give his thoughts on the pay-per-view as well.
Yeah. Mr. Chris Parrish.
You can catch me outside. How about that? No, you can catch me on.
All right, good. That's enough for Chris Parrish.
You're cut off, Parrish.
You can catch me on the X at Chris Parrish. You can catch me on Instagram and on the threads at Chris.Parrish. You can catch me on Kick at Chris Parrish. YouTube at Chris Parrish. You catch me on the Twitch at twitch.tv/the Chris Parrish. But tomorrow you can catch me at our local establishment at 12:15 Eastern with Bobby Munson with Busting Out 51, where we have guest Tom Collihue. And then on Monday, you can watch me with In Full. There's no run-in this week because in Canada we have a statutory holiday, so I'm off work. So I'll be there in full with OMD, Chris Best, Carl Carafo with the one and only Monday night watch along, and then every Wednesday with Ed with Wrestle Draft. As of this Wednesday, we present to you Hell in a Cell.
And of course, you can find me on Twitter at edfries12584. I don't need no threads. I got a nice shirt right here. I don't need no blue sky. I got a nice gray sky. That's all I need. You can also find me with all my gaming content at edfries2002 on the Twitch. You can find me, like Parrish said, every Tuesday night. You can find me with my co-host, for the time being at least, Ashton Pizarro, as we go ahead and talk all things NXT on Taking Over right after NXT every week on Tuesday nights. You can catch me, like Parrish said, every Wednesday night we go ahead and play Wrestle Draft Season 2. We just started Season 2. I'm on the way back up to try to climb my way back up to the top after a rough Season 1 where Parrish did win. So you can go ahead and do that. Remember that you can catch our local establishment on Twitter at Ol'Ed Podcast, on Instagram at Ol'Ed Podcast, on the Twitch at twitch.tv/our local establishment, on the TikTok at our local establishment. We don't really do anything on Kick, but on Kick at our local establishment. You can catch us on the YouTube, youtube.com/our local establishment. Make sure you go ahead and give us a subscribe. Go ahead and like some of our videos. We got all kinds of great content on there. And just talking about great content on this channel, I want to go ahead and throw up the weekly calendar right before we head on out. So let's go ahead. I just realized that's not the new video. The new video doesn't come until tomorrow night. So we'll have that tomorrow night. I apologize. We'll play this one instead. What? What the fuck? I was going to play the Tom Collihue video.
Frickin' buttons.
No. Time being right now, Miss Astrid. Time being. But for the gentleman below here with me, I want to thank you all for joining us. And we'll see you next time. Have a good one. Goodbye.